Now, I had a scenario that I had mentioned about magic wands in Mickey Mouse, cleaning up the floor, and then in Fantasia. And then along with, what was his name? Tchaikovsky. They did the Fantasia, and, well, Mickey Mouse wound up with a magic wand instead of a mop. And I like mops. Mops are really good, and I can show you a lot of really nice techniques for brushes. That's what I call brushes. I call them mops. And they're good for a lot of really cool techniques. Now, this technique is the stick technique. And this is so that you guys who like to sketch won't kvetch. And you can apply it over to painting and feel comfortable with your paint. I'm just going to take a little bit of brown way up in here, see? Just on the end of the pointer here. And roll it along in some color back there. And this is all wet and mushy and syrupy. So I can use a stylus like this, and I can just mush the paint around, and when I want a reverse effect, I can take the paint off. And I discovered that with working on mirrors. I can just scrape it off back here, to get a highlight. And I can put opaque white on my cloud system up here. I got some clouds up here, and maybe I just want to take some white on the end of this guy and put him up here in the clouds. And maybe some over here. And you don't need much. When you're working with white paint and you put it in a light sky like that, it doesn't take much, and it's a very ethereal effect, meaning, well, it's soft and it looks blendy and very soothing when you see clouds that are, kind of off, and you're not. You're right on, because you know how to paint them, and that's what's really cool about painting this quote-unquote way. This is a new approach. So let's say I take a little bit of white paint again, and I can do a highlight. If I'm not getting the light effect that I want, I can opaque my land down here. Actually, it would be even more advantageous to do it with a knife. So I bring it down, and I clean it off, and I get that edge right there, and I go like this. See that? And I get that edge right there. And I clean it off again because I'm going to meter up. I'm going to try to highlight up. There's more. And I can do it in the clouds. And go upstairs. And I got to roll. And I can take the white that I have and push it up into the atmosphere. I could even roll up a little bit of color. See that? There's a little bit of color on that. Tiny little bit of contamination. That's all right. It makes it nice and warm, a little bit of warm back there. You don't want any green up there, obviously, but you can put some warm up in there. And you can move it around, and you can play your warm tones up top. It's all syrupy up in there. You can play with any tone you want. You can take styluses, and as I said, you can scrape them off. I made these white caps. We're going to do some other moving water, but these are just one way you can make your paintings move. See, there's a tide line back there or whatever. You can throw that blue back in there and work back and forth, light over dark with your styluses. I can take this dark and I can make a big tree out of it. See that? Watch. Boom. Up into the sky. Right? Yeah, just make a big tree. That's all. And then a branch or two. And this is stick painting. This is very fast. It's very spontaneous. And it looks pretty decent. And it's all with the stylus. See all this? Now, if I want to get colorful, I haven't used orange yet. I got some orange. Well, roll that stick around. Roll it over there. Rolling. You know, turning it, twisting it, play with it. It's fun. This is, when I say play with it, I don't mean work with it. Play with it. Now I get some dark and some syrupy white. Who knows what's going to happen here? Watch. There you go. I'll bring it down here. I'll scoop it off there, and I'll put it over here on my other peninsula. And maybe make a tree line out of it. There's just a little bit of dark back there. I still have this nice expanse of sky. And there's a whole tree line that I did with just twirling the stick around. And there's the tree line up in there. Now, if I want to get real cool about it and get a little neurotic, I start carving it all up and it looks really cool. And this is where your sketching techniques, you'll go, oh, I like painting. Because it looks like that. And you're not, you know, well, I'm trying to make that one look a little more natural. See? But if you have the kinetics and you're moving and moving and grooving and you're taking off and putting on and you're doing exactly what nature does, you're going back and forth between light and dark and you're acting like the universe. You have this binary code going with taking stuff off and putting it back on, resting and participating, putting tone down as you take it off, momentum and position at the same time. Remember, that's why they can't do quantum physics. They need past and future. So when I'm putting down and taking off at the same time, it's very exciting. And that's what I've discovered here. I can put that paint down and scratch it off at the same stroke and have all of this fun. It's really, really interesting. And now I can go even more colorful if I dare. I can go way up in there. I take a big blob of red. And let's get going here. There's some crimson. Now this is a wet background. I can put some green on there and brown it out and dull it back. And as I do that, I can get these spaces and the kinetics. I don't want to put any red in the mid range, in the midground. It's just a foreground, more colorful, and as we tease off and fuzz off into this cloud back here, and I can formulate all the tops of my trees with this wet stylus, this wet on wet stylus, and I can just go crazy with it. See all the different patterns all along that horizon line in just a few seconds, just like this. I'm scratching away and see what happens. Let me take a little bit of this apple green, I call it. And, oh, I know. Maybe I'll throw it over there because yeah, that looks good. I think it'll get lost in the foreground. And as I apply this, if I want to clean my brush, my stick, that's it. If I want to use another one or a clean one, that's it. That's it. This is amazing. And you're clean. You're done. Even a big sucker like that. Bloop, bloop, boom. Pretty much done. Well, you know, I got a few areas there, but... And that's what I love about this. And all of the different applications you can do. Remember, the reason I like sticks, I have a third dimension on the delivery end of this that I don't have on a palette knife. I have symmetry that goes into a stylus. And I can move it and groove it at different angles, and it feels like drawing sometimes. That's why I want you guys that don't like painting, you pastel guys and you color pencil guys, if you want to paint, do this because it'll get you comfortable with the paint. And you don't have to worry about the brushes and the rushes with the brushes and the squeegeeing and the crushes, you know, and the wiping all the time. This is really, really fun. Particle wave. E equals MC. Squared off the syrupy paint.